like we said, traveling is a way of life. So even at home, I think about it all the time. It's mostly a sensation, like a drug. It's like a drug, really. I'm a travel narcotic.
Welcome to Locales Unknown. This podcast gives you the tools you need to choose your next travel destination and the tips you want to be able to explore like a local. Here are your hosts, Chris and Winfield.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Locales Unknown episode. Today is another great one. We're going across the pond to France to visit my friend Delphine. Her and I met when we were in New Zealand. Actually, it was right at the beginning of my initial backpacking trip. So it was full of life, adventure, and definitely open-minded. And we ended up doing a hitchhiking day together, and we'll get into that more in the episode. But this is really awesome. You know, we really talk more about just staying within the borders of France. Delphine owns a photography business, and she'll talk more about that in the interview. And you know, it's a unique perspective. She talks about solo traveling as a female and all of her experiences throughout her travels and her inspirations and her wonders. So excited to bring this one to you for sure.
Definitely. We cover some cultural differences between North Americans and Europeans. We talk about what motivates her to travel, which is another key theme of ours, and basically how we weave that into a lifestyle choice. And that's something that is a pervasive theme throughout here, our podcast here at Locales Unknown. But it's something that it's always interesting to hear different perspectives of people and how they can either incorporate travel into their lives or make it a priority or have it as something that's adjunct but also enjoyable. And we also discuss different regions in France. We talk about food, wine, all the things that are on your mind. But no, this is a really great episode. Delphine is so kind to come on and spend time with us, and we really enjoyed getting to know her as well. So without further ado, here's Delphine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locales Unknown. Today, we are joined with my friend Delphine Persyn. I'm pretty sure I butchered that last name, but she'll tell us in a second. Delphine and I, we met in New Zealand in Queenstown, actually, at the beginning of my backpacking trip and the end of hers. So we'll get into that as well. But thank you for coming on, Delphine, taking the time. I know it's a little bit late. You're over in France right now. We're shooting this, and it's coming up on evening, according to you, even though it's 11 p.m. So thank you again.
No, you're welcome. My pleasure.
So we're going to go over just a couple of things. Of course, we'll talk about how we met in New Zealand and our great adventures as far as our hitchhiking journey to paradise, where the Lord of the Rings was shot. But let's start by just giving us an overview of your travel experience in general.
General, yeah, mostly in Europe because I'm French, so Europe and Asia as well, Russia. What else? Oceania, of course, and a little bit of North Africa as well.
Awesome. Where in Asia did you happen to get to?
South Korea, Japan, and China.
Yeah, Winfield's traveled those locations as well, including Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where in North Africa were you?
North Africa, Egypt, and Tunisia.
Oh, great. That's where I did my honeymoon. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, I go back in Egypt normally this year, but with coronavirus, it's terrific. So normally the next year.
And where in France are you now?
Close to Paris, in the countryside, nearly maybe 40 minutes by transport to Paris.
Great. What's the name of the town, if we can ask?
Oof, Saint-Pathus. It's close to Ermenonville. Ermenonville, this is a great, nice little town. It's not really famous.
Mm. Well, the podcast here is called Locales Unknown, so this definitely fits for us. We love to talk about a
Mhm.
little bit off the beaten path, a little bit more real life, and what it's like outside the tourism track. But of course, Paris is an incredible city, so there's
Yeah,
lots to talk
sure.
about there
Definitely.
too.
Mm.
As far as your travels go, what really inspires you as far as where you're going, what destination you decide to pick?
I decided my destination usually with the animals. The animals are my inspiration, really. But as well with my job, because to find good pictures, I like colors. I like different degrees of light. So I'm looking for a place really nice to do my pics.
Yeah, and we should definitely mention that you do own your photography business. And of course, nature films photography. I would assume that you do have an affinity for the landscapes and nature and animals. So
Yeah,
it
right.
makes sense. Makes sense for sure. So as far as that goes, do you have a favorite destination that you were able to find the best animal photography and explore?
What is my favorite destination for my photography?
Yeah, for photography.
Yeah, for now, New Zealand. Sure,
Yeah.
definitely. It's an amazing country about landscapes, different animals and mammals, marine mammals, and definitely I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bird watching as well. They're
Mhm.
uh, they're they're all over the place. So I guess that's a good time to bring up how we met. So we were in Queenstown, New Zealand, sharing the same room in a hostel. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 other people with us. I don't know. And I was waking up. It was maybe 4 or 5 days into my initial backpacking trip that I spent just a little under a year. And you, Delphine, were on the tail end. You were actually leaving out of Queenstown, right? Back to France?
Yeah, with a little stop in Sydney and go back to France.
Yeah. So I remember we were just talking and trying to figure out what to do for the day.
Mm,
And you had the idea of trying to make it to a couple of the Lord of the Rings destinations to take some great photographs and just
yeah,
enjoy the day. And I thought that was great. And then you added on the little adventure of trying to hitchhike there.
yeah,
So I said, why not? Because it was on my list of things to do. People were talking about it all the time. So I said, okay, this is the opportunity. It's right in front of me. Let's do it. And I remember it was a rough start at first. I think I needed to hide in the bushes so that way people picked you up and I came out as your
mhm,
tag along. So I think we did maybe 3 or 4 finally getting up to there. And the place is a little town called
yeah,
Paradise in the South Island, just maybe about 45 minutes outside of Queenstown. And it really was paradise. I mean, it was absolutely incredible.
mm,
So then, when we spent the day there, we finally made it back. And it's amazing, one, that we were able to find rides, no problem with people. We may have had to wait for a little while, but the generosity of people. Do you remember? Unfortunately, I forgot her name, but the last person that drove us, she actually stopped in town to allow us time to go get some food while
mhm.
she changed, and she was doing the van life, and
Yeah,
we all met up.
Deborah, I keep,
Deborah.
yeah, I keep contact with her. So she
Oh,
lives in
awesome.
south of France. Yeah, yeah, she's really nice.
Well, shout out to Deborah if you ever listen to this. Thank you for that ride.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and she even, she stopped as well so we could go into that mini forest, that garden area as well,
Mhm.
another Lord of the Rings spot. So it really is incredible how generous and open-minded and helpful people are, especially that I
Yeah,
found in the backpacking trail in New Zealand. So
yeah.
well, that
So it
was
was
awesome.
to me a really resume of my trip
Yeah.
because it was tough, but it was awesome as well, and meet some great people. yeah, it's a good resume.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a absolutely stunning country. So Winfield, correct me if I'm wrong. You've been there to New Zealand?
I have, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Did you do both the North and South Island?
Yeah, so I've only done Marlborough on the South Island. So everything south of Marlborough, you both have much more experience than I do. But I've heard great things. Of course, Queenstown, known as the adventure capital of the world, depending on if you ask the Aussies or not. But
Shout out
see
Javon.
Javon episode for further details. Right. But no, it's beautiful. And I don't know if both of you went to Milford Sound or not, but I've heard great things about the whole fjord glacier area.
Yeah, Milford Sound was absolutely gorgeous, and I feel like this episode's turning into a New Zealand episode. So we're gonna dial it back a little bit. And Delphine, I'd love to know. I didn't ask you these questions before when we had a chance, but when did you start your photography company?
Oh, 11 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just after school.
And was that always a passion for you, the photography?
Video, mostly, and after photography because video it's really complicated. So it depends, but I learn video at school, and photography just like this, with everyone and alone. So yeah.
I just think it's so interesting how you were able to tie in the passion of video and photography and travel too. So,
yeah,
I have to wonder, was it the passion for travel that made you want to go into photography to be able to get out there and see the animals, or did you just take advantage of travels to be able to shoot your photography?
Both.
Going to different places. Yeah, right. That's great. Well, where can people find your work?
Oh, on the web, I have my own website, and on Instagram, but I just have my account act, so it's a new account. It's just little pictures for now, but on the web.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to put those links and everything within the show notes, so anyone listening can definitely find you and take advantage of there. Now, I know this morning you went out on a shoot, right, to go take some photos of deer. Did you say?
Yeah, right. Roar of the deer. In French, we say brame du cerf. I don't know the term in English, but roar of the deer. I think, and it was a nice sunset, but all the night, and the sunrise was terrible, really wet.
Dedication, though, to stay up all night and get out there for that one shot.
Yeah,
It's amazing. People see your end product, whether it be on your website, and don't even realize the background that goes into it, especially if you're in another country, right? You have to travel all the way there and plan around it and everything. Yeah. So,
and here it's easier because I know the place, so it's easier to me. But yesterday night wasn't really good, so tonight I'm here with you. So I go back tomorrow, and I'm gonna try again and again until I have a good pick.
Well, fitting us in. Thank you again for that.
No, you're welcome.
So, what type of wildlife can you find where you are outside of Paris? Animals outside of Paris, where you are. What do you usually
yeah, deer, birds, lot of birds, squirrel, forest animals usually, countryside animals.
Yeah, interesting. What would you say life is like outside on the Paris countryside?
It's nice. It's quiet. It's quiet. It's nature, simple, and you have everything around. It's not like a life in an apartment in a big city. I have my own garden. I have my hammock. My animals are happy. and all around it's fields, woods, forest, and I can do hike alone or with my baby dog in the Ermenonville forest, so the big town close to me. It's an historical forest frequented by famous writers, philosophers, and painters as well in the past. So it's a really nice forest.
That sounds so tranquil and lovely. Take us to give listeners a bit of background about the French joie de vivre, in English, the joy of life, because that's something that I know is lost on a lot of Americans, and myself included, until I hopped over the Atlantic.
Yeah, right. It's a nice place. Really, I love it, because a few years ago I lived in a big city, and it wasn't for me. I hate that.
No, exactly, and that's something that we talk a lot about here, at least on the show, in terms of traveling as a way of life. Europeans, they work to live, and a lot of North Americans live to work.
Yeah.
And that's something that is a kind of a fundamental difference in between our, let's say, largely Western culture.
Really.
And that struck me as very, very stark contrast when I was traveling a lot all over the world, because I always meet, almost always on every country I've been to, usually meet French, Germans, Brits without fail, and Americans. So, and it's always, you'll see not always, but a lot of times you'll see a big group of French together, or a big group of Germans, but everybody will be not necessarily retired, but they'll be at different stages of life.
Yeah.
But for instance, taking a month off, or taking 3 or 4 weeks off, nobody thinks twice about.
So that's why I started my own business, because to me, I don't like having a boss who decide what kind of subject I have to work for. So at the moment, I worked as a journalist in the television. But you can't really express yourself. All the subjects are imposed, at least at the beginning when you do your career. But I am not passionate for that. I have my vision, and I prefer express it like a writer. And with my business, I can do everything I want, when I want, where I want. So that's good.
Exactly. And that allows you to pursue a traveler's lifestyle if you so choose, because your business is portable. Whatever you are interested in can come with you or go with you. So that's something that's the flexibility is really key.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that as well. Coming back from my backpacking trip after a few months of being home, I recentered and tried to figure out, well, how do I have that flexibility and freedom while being able to travel and go on the road, but provide an income for myself? And that's why I went in and opened my business. I can't say that the passion was there that you have, studying it in college and then, pursuing it lifelong. So it's pretty amazing to hear when someone can turn their passion and interest into something that fuels their life and their travels. So I think that's pretty cool.
It was true to me since I was a child. I wanted to do a job who is really a passion to me, because work just to work to have money, no, it's not to me.
Yeah. Definitely understand that. And then I know you did mention how you love living out in the countryside, but I would be remiss if I don't ask a little bit about Paris. So I hope you don't mind. We're going to bring it into the city.
No, of
We're going
course.
to have to deal with the traffic for a second, but of course the beautiful
Oh my
views
God,
as
the
well.
traffic,
So.
it's terrible. So no. If you come in Paris, use the transport because by car it's terrible, really.
Oh man.
And I did that as well. So Paris is Paris. It's Paris. Paris. It's gorgeous. You have everything in Paris. The museums are just amazing. My last exhibition was Chanel. I don't, you know Chanel.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Bien sûr.
The next one I think I'm going to. I don't remember the name, but the exhibition is about Henri Cartier-Bresson. This is a photojournalist, really famous in France, in black and white. So yeah, you can do everything in Paris. You can drink a cup of tea in a tea salon like La Durée or Angelina. It's really famous. But mostly I prefer just stroll and discover nice places like hidden houses with what is the name? Wisteria on the walls. Great flowers,
Sure.
vegetal walls, and also abandoned places. So, yeah, you have it in Paris.
It's a beautiful city. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've only spent a few days there, but it definitely captivated me. I mean, it's every street corner is different. There's so much history. There's so much art, and you can feel the presence of the city wherever you go. I have to say that I was guilty of doing mainly the tourist locations, but going to the Louvre was absolutely incredible. Just seeing the Eiffel Tower and being around that atmosphere was not something that I regret whatsoever. But I would have to agree with you. We spent a little while trying to do the driving, and it didn't work out. So we ended up walking way too much. But if you had to pick, what would you say your favorite thing is in Paris? Let's say for our listeners who haven't been, and maybe they want the insight of someone who's in the area.
My favorite place in Paris.
Favorite place.
Oh, that is a difficult question. Maybe Notre Dame de Paris, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. All the Latin Quarter around Notre Dame de Paris, it's really nice for the history, for, I don't know, the knowledge. We have the Sorbonne University in this area. And definitely I love the feel. I love the sensation in this place.
Winfield, have you been able to make it over there?
Yes, I've been to Paris several times now, but I haven't spent as much time there as I would like. But most recently was there in 2018, and I love that you mentioned La Durée because that encapsulates the perfect salon de thé, the tea salon, for me. And if you go to the location on the Champs-Élysées, you have La Durée on one side of the street, you have McDonald's on the other side, and you have the Arc de Triomphe. So it's the triangle. Yes, exactly. So it's the triangle of cultural adventurism, shall we say?
I prefer La Durée. Sorry.
Oh no, of course, no, as do I. There isn't any love lost there, but just in terms of a really classical place that people that are not French can experience a real French meal, not only a kind of a patisserie setting, but also something that's more higher end. They used to have a location in New York. I think that it might be closed now, but beautiful petit four, beautiful food, European service, and it is touristy, but not too much. So it's definitely something that if you're ever walking up the Champs-Élysées, it's on the left side of the street. That's something that to keep a lookout for.
Okay.
I love how you just gave a tip to a local there, Winfield. That's great. That is awesome.
That was not the intention, but I definitely went on the soliloquy there. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're well traveled. So, Delphine, beyond just Paris and where you are now, have you traveled France a lot? Have you been to various parts?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
definitely.
Do you have a favorite location within the country?
Yes, I have, but a lot.
Mhm.
One, it's maybe because I come from Dunkirk, in the north of France, near the North Sea. And I spent almost all my holidays, summer holidays, at 40 minutes by car in a site called Cap Blanc and Cap Grinet. There are two cliffs in front of England, and I love it. It was all my childhood.
Oh, that's very nice. And what about Lille? Because that's a city I've never been to, but I've heard great things about kind of a post-industrial renaissance, a lot of startup scene in terms of new businesses and kind of a regeneration.
Yeah. Lille, it's a really nice city. I did my studies in this place, so it's really young. You have a lot of universities and a lot of parties and bar and everything. So festivals and yes, startups. It's really nice.
No, that's great. And one area back in college that I spent some time in as well is Normandy. I spent about a week in Bayeux during Christmas, and right next to Mont Saint Michel, and I always mispronounce this Cannes, even though it's not the film festival in the south, but de Caen.
Cannes Festival
Yes.
de Cannes. Oui.
Yes, but the city in the north that's next to Bayeux is Caen, and I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, I must confess.
Caen. Cane.
Yes.
I don't know.
You don't know it? Okay. Well, it's a fairly good size, and it's next to a lot of the famous Normandy beaches, obviously for the World War II events, but also Quimper. I don't know if you're familiar. Beautiful.
Not really, but I know the town. Yeah.
Yes, really
Quimper.
famous for China and other works of art.
Brittany is just magnificent. My family is native of this area. You have beautiful landscapes, mystical forest as well, with menhir, so big rocks, long rocks like this. Strange weather as well. So who brings strange lights, but wonderful lights. And it's different all around the coast in Brittany. So you can look for the pink granite coast, for example. Really, it's voiceless.
No, that is lovely, and it's also very famous for oysters, right?
Yeah, right.
The fish there, of course, being on the Atlantic side, that's a lot different fish to what you find, what we were talking about earlier towards the North Sea. So.
And sea spiders, we call them, because they're huge, and it's really good, definitely. You can try it. Brittany is famous because, this is a part of France for fishers. So you have a lot of fishers over there.
Very interesting. It sounds like you've been all over the place in France. And I always find it amazing when I'm talking to Europeans or people from other parts of the world beyond just North America, how free that they travel solo, whether they're male or female. It just seems like there's a little bit more of a comfortability level when it comes to strapping on a backpack and just getting to where you want to go, whether or not it's with people, even in their own country. Here in North America, a lot of people have their hesitations with traveling solo, whether it be male or female, especially female. There's an extra layer of security there that people worry about. And I know you've been on a lot of trips solo, so I'd love to just get your perspective on being a solo female traveler and how you feel when you're on the road.
Honestly, normal. It's really not a problem to me. So I don't know. It's normal.
Well, that's a good thing. And that's exactly what I mean as far as, just being comfortable with it. And I've met so many people, a lot of Europeans that feel the same way as you. You don't even think about it. Here in America, there's a little bit of a hesitation overall,
Really?
whether it be from just news media sources or an overall stigma behind safety and whether or not, you're going to be comfortable alone. And I just don't see that translating into more of the European cultures. So you say it's pretty normal. You haven't, had any hesitation.
To me, not for my friends, but to me, yes. But it depends what you do. Of course, during the trip, you just have to be careful, not unconscious. But yes, it's safe. I had some problems, of course, but not too bad.
Yeah, well, that's good. And that's something that we definitely want to shed light on, because we want more people to be more comfortable. And in order to be comfortable, they need to understand that things are generally safe out there. Most people, we experienced it firsthand, Delphine, when we were trying to hitchhike. Most people are helpful. Most people are understanding, compassionate, especially on a backpacking trail when you're doing the normal, hostels or routes, or whatever the case might be, that you generally find people are just welcoming overall. So I love that for sure. So, I mean, that was two of the questions I really had, of whether or not, you experienced anything and if you find it to be safe. So I'm very happy to hear that. So, I mean, I'm also talking to someone that did hitchhike and do a whole bunch of stuff in New Zealand. So maybe your adventure level is a little bit higher than most. And, in that vein, what would you say the most adventurous experience it was that you've had on the road?
On the road, the one with you was really nice because it was really long to find someone, but a good experience on the road. It's difficult to say, but good experience in travel, I have a lot to say.
I'd love to hear, more about travel.
Okay, maybe work for Sea Shepherd Conservation Society in France. It was great because we did an operation in Mediterranean Sea about the drift nets who kills hundreds animals each year. So I worked with them, and it was really really perturbating. Really, I don't know the words, but amazing and creepy.
Okay.
I worked with BirdLife as well. So it's not the same name in France, but the international name is BirdLife. And with organizations like this, you really have the feeling to do something important about the preservation of the planet, and it's important to me.
Yeah, getting the firsthand experience when it comes to conservation and the impacts we've had as a society in general on the planet is, I think that's right. It is awesome, but it's a little bit creepy, and sometimes it provides some hesitation and more perspective as far as your impact everywhere that you go. Leave no trace is something that is pretty commonly said, and it's a mantra in the backpacking community. So I'm sure what you saw was beyond what most people do. So it gives a different, light as to what's going on.
Yeah. That's why I choose this job as well, because I wanted to show to everyone what is going really on the planet, and to me it's bad. It's really bad, and it's not normal. And I want to leave something behind me, even a little bit.
Can people find that work on your website as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah. So we'll
my
make sure to
video, my
link to that.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, both in social media and the website. We want people to see everything. So that's great. For sure.
No, that's one thing as well, where when, as you were alluding to, when you see it firsthand, it's very different to when you see it on television or if you see it from afar. But when you're actually in front of it, I can recall various times in Asia where you would just see mountains of plastic in various countries, just all over the place, and you think to yourself, okay, I know plastic's a problem. I know that it's a growing issue, especially from the Western world going to developing countries. But until you see that in front of you, you don't think to yourself, okay, how can we turn at least even just a fraction of this plastic into something that can be reused and that can actually make a difference, or that someone can use in the future without burning or doing some kind of unsustainable method.
Yeah. It's a daily situation, and if everyone can be a little bit of efforts, could be change a lot of things.
No, definitely, exactly. And to your point, even if we all made a small change, the scale of that change might not be immediately noticed or noticeable, but it's about habits, because humans are creatures of habit, right? We have certain things that we're fixed in, and it's hard for us to change our ways in a lot of instances. So any kind of proactive change, whether it's small or large, can have quite a bit of benefit, as you said.
Every day when I walk with my dog, I have a little park behind my house, and every day I take some plastic bottles, papers, and put it in the rubbish. But the people continue to do that, and oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah, we're all trying to do our part. And I have to agree with you guys. I also think that travel opens your eyes to a lot of things as well. You know, we live in the Western world. When you make your way to Asia or a developing country and you see the impact when they don't have the infrastructure set up to deal with things the way that we do over here, or at least out of sight, out of mind, it gives a firsthand encounter and really puts things into perspective as far as this is a global issue, and we can try to pick up the trash behind us. It's definitely an issue, you know, and we can only just do our part and try to, you know, make the little change that we can. And I think travel really helps open your eyes to what's going on out there.
Open your eyes and open your mind. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and steer the ship in a different direction. I'm going to take it back to France real quick, because I don't think we've talked enough about the food, and I can't imagine us ending a conversation about France without talking about the food. So what's your favorite dish? Do you have a favorite restaurant in Paris where it just serves the dish that you're craving all the time, or maybe in your local town? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, my favorite dish is definitely crepes, because crepes, it's really, really famous in France, in Brittany especially. It's a local tradition, but you can find it everywhere in France. You have salted crepes, sweet crepes, with so many recipes, and it's just so yummy.
Now I'm hungry. I love it.
It's very
like
functional
your pancakes. It's really thin. It's not like your pancakes. It's better.
Sure. I'm very familiar with grapes, and I think, you know, they've made their way over here. We're pretty familiar with them, at least in on the East Coast. What would you say, Winfield? They keep popping up everywhere.
No,
They're too good
definitely.
to hide.
It's right, exactly. It's as you said, it's a very, very thin pancake, but it you with a filling of some sort. So I guess the closest equivalent, if you're not familiar with it, would be some sort of burrito type layer, but on a much wider
Yeah.
scale. I don't know. That's probably an awful butchered comparison, especially for French cuisine.
No, it's
But one thing that I personally love about France is the plat du jour. You can go to a bistro, a brasserie, anywhere. You have
pledge.
a fixed menu. You typically have a 3-course prefix, and typically for a relatively reasonable price. I don't know what it is now, maybe 25, 30 euros. You can have a 3-course meal, depending on where you are, of course. If you're in the center, if you're in a petite ville.
Yeah.
But and sometimes that comes with a glass of wine, and that's a perfect lunch right there. So the level, I think one of the big differences in terms of cuisine is the appreciation that the French put on food, because you have so many different aspects. For instance, you see 4 generations of people that bake bread. Now we think to ourselves, okay, that's cool. You're a baker, right? That's an artisan craft, yes. But the respect of that level of what do? I bake baguettes. I bake baguettes all day. That's respected, which is a little bit different sense of appreciation in North America, I think. Maybe a little bit less, because it's, okay, cool, you own a bakery, but what does that really do? But for someone that grew up with that, the same with in wine, somebody that's been has had a vineyard for 4, 5, 6 generations. Those people are still working the land, tilling the land, taking care of the grapes. So there's a different premise put on gastronomy and viticulture.
Yeah, because we have many vineyards and champagnes as well. Champagne is really famous and really good, but it's really official to have this name and to put it on the bottle.
No, exactly. I remember when I went to Epernay and Reims, and just you take the train through the fields of just grapes, and you think to yourself, this is champagne. I mean, you cannot call your wine in any other place, even if it's sparkling wine, even if it's made the same way, you cannot use the name. And that's something that until you see the Maison du Champagne for yourself, which it took me aback for a second, because you see them all your life in stores everywhere, and you think, okay, that's champagne, and it's nice, and it's very festive, but whatever. But when you see it, as we were talking about earlier, with your own eyes, and you're in the home of it, so to speak, it takes on a new meaning.
Yeah.
And the same with what you were saying, Chris, as well, about the food in general. The food, there are a lot of different regional variations and delicacies by area of France. For instance, Lyon has a very different food scene. Provence, Provençal cuisine, Bordeaux, and Marseille. So each region has some very interesting, not only regional variations with food, but also with wine and different pairings of whether it be cheese or whether it be mustard, for example. I'm thinking of Burgundy. I'm thinking of Dijon mustard.
Right.
Very true. Random things like that. I know I'm being a bit pedantic here, but it serves the purpose to say that each appellation, whether that be the name of a particular county or the name of a particular small village, can specialize in a particular type of food or wine, which we have here to some extent in the U.S. is becoming more popular. Local, handmade, and well, not necessarily handmade, but made at the source. But in Europe, that's been a tradition that goes back centuries. So,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I definitely got a sense of. And I'm hesitant to put a blanket statement saying that here in North America, we don't share the same thing, but the passion behind what everyone was doing, whether it be baking baguettes in a third generation of it, it's more than an occupation. It is a way of life. And that goes just throughout. And I found that at least in the Western European culture in general. But we don't want to talk for you, Delphine. I mean, you're the one living there. So I hear the passion in your voice when it comes to your photography. And that's just the path that called you. So it's definitely still there. And I saw it firsthand. And I think now is the time to jump over to our lightning round. So at the end of every episode, we ask our guests 10 questions, and they're pretty simple. And we just want to hear your perspective. It gives us great insight into, culture and your experiences in general. So whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and start the lightning round. What do you think?
Okay.
Okay. Well, first question is, if you had one wish, what would it be?
To have my own boat and travel everywhere.
Very nice.
that's a great one.
It's going to be a motorboat. Are we talking sailboat?
Sailboat.
Sailboat. Very nice. Very, very nice.
One ocean at a time. Sorry.
No problem. Which country do you want to visit the most and why?
That is a tough question. Really, really difficult to me. There are so many things on the planet that I want to see. So just one, really just one.
Just one. Well, you're going to have your sailboat, so I'm sure you'll make it to more. But for now, just one.
Costa Rica, I think, for the biodiversity.
Very nice. Absolutely.
Just because I have to pick one answer, but it's really difficult.
We won't hold you to it, but it's just interesting to hear for sure, and it makes sense completely. There is definitely some biodiversity there. So, what's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
I have absolutely no idea. Usually, I don't take any risk for that. So sorry, I don't know.
What about escargot?
I never eat it.
Really? Oh, okay. That's snails. It's one of my personal favorites. But
So nothing, huh? Maybe McDonald's then.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Then, what's your favorite thing about France?
Oh, my favorite things about France. Maybe to have so many landscapes. It's not really necessary to go at the opposite of the world to see something special. We have everything here. We have volcanoes, big mountains, natural reserves, lakes, gorgeous beaches. I'm proud of it. Even Hollywood is inspired by France with, for example, Da Vinci Code or Inception or Moulin Rouge. So, yeah, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous country. So, what would you say the must-see attraction is in France for someone who's new, just going there for the first time, can only see one thing? What would it be?
Disneyland Paris. No, I'm joking. Honestly, choose between all the landscapes, it's really difficult. So I'm going to say Paris, definitely, with the Eiffel Tower and Louvre Museum and Notre Dame de Paris.
Sure. And then what's one tip you would give to travelers that are coming to France?
Maybe they can download an application on the phone. I did the same, so it's really helpful. And buy a book like A Lonely Planet. I did that, and yeah, It's helped me to prepare my trips.
So would you say, as far as the application goes, like a Lonely Planet or a helpful navigation? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
tips and everything, and where you have to go, and what kind of food you can eat in this place and not in this area. So
Sure.
yeah.
Well,
Just a quick question. Sorry, Chris. Do you recommend that the travelers learn a little bit of French before going, or it's not necessarily necessary?
French people and English, not a good idea. So yeah, it's better to learn some French words, but it depends. If you meet someone who speaks English in the streets, it's okay, it's for you. So no problem. But mostly French people doesn't really speak English really well, like me.
No, not at all. But hello, goodbye, thank you. A few words, right? Goes a long way.
Yeah.
So then you kind of answered this before, but what motivates you to travel?
My photography.
Mhm.
No, really, to feel something, real, because, like we said, traveling is a way of life. So even at home, I think about it all the time. It's mostly a sensation, like a drug. It's like a drug, really. I'm a travel narcotic.
I think we all know the feeling here for sure. And Delphine, you and I were talking about how difficult it has been because of the circumstances on the global scale, being the COVID-19 pandemic and having everything locked down. And you're a travel addict that's not able to get the fix. So it's a bad recipe for sure. So hopefully, as things progress, things are starting to open up and we're all getting back on the road, which is great.
Yeah, because if
Slowly but
we don't
surely.
travel, we don't feel well. So we need it.
I can relate. That's for sure. So you also kind of answered this before when we were talking about Paris, but maybe we talk more in general as far as France goes. Which mode or modes of transportation do you recommend?
Train, it's not too bad. Train is good, yeah, but if you are comfortable with it, you can rent a car, and you can go everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So then our final question here in the lightning round is, if there is one experience you could relive in your entire life, what would it be?
That is a tough one as well.
Mhm.
Maybe the first travel I did alone. It was in Hong Kong. The afternoon, I saw one of my best friends who lives there, and after I took the boat to leave the bay. The moment was incredible. It was the night with all the city lights around, and I remember the song on the boat, because there was a party inside. And the song was from the band Coldplay, A Sky Full of Stars. And it's illustrating what I felt right at this moment, the start of my trip, and everything remained to discover. It was awesome. That's it.
Moments like that in life are rare, and they definitely leave a lasting impression for sure. So I have a few that stand out similar, but that just seemed like a picturesque moment. So it's no wonder why you would want to relive that. And you made it through the lightning round and the entire interview. So thank you very much for your time, Delphine. It was really awesome to speak to you, not only about France, but to your business as well. If you could reiterate one more time, tell people what your website is and where they can find you on social media.
Okay, good. In nature film photography, this is my website and social media. So see you soon on it. It was a really pleasure to me to speak with you, boss.
Yeah, thank you again. We'll definitely be in touch. We'll when we put the episode out, we'll make sure to put the links so everyone can see.
It's nice. Thank you. And you are more than welcome in France again. No hesitation.
One day soon, hopefully.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Merci à vous.
Take care.
You too.
Bonne nuit. Well, what a great roundup that was in terms of not only photographing animals all over the world, but just having that travel fix that you just need to get, whether it's regularly or annually or semi-annually. I know for Delphine and for Chris as well, we all love going to new places, experiencing new things, whether it's working in a different location or just being on site and having an artistic or creative inspiration. It's something that it's really a passion. And I think that really came through in this episode, the fact that she is really dedicated to her craft, but at the same time, it's multifaceted, and that every experience and new place is a different chapter. So that's something that really struck with me. And I know that the traveler lifestyle for people out there, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely something that we espouse here on Locales Unknown.
Yeah, and to finish on that note, as far as the travel junkie element, I mean, if that doesn't resonate with you, then I don't know. It definitely hit home for me. And if you're feeling the same way, then you're in the right place here at Locales Unknown. So as always, thank you, Delphine, for jumping on and spending the time with us. And you guys, thank you for listening with us as we talked with Delphine. If you're liking what you hear, as always, go ahead and let us know. We want to hear reviews from you. We want to know if we're improving here, or you're liking the content, or if you have a suggestion for us, you can always get us at contact@localesunknown.com. That's our email. We're on every platform that you get your podcast. So go ahead and hit subscribe, hit like, review us, leave us a comment. We love to hear your feedback. Also on social media, if you're not following us already, jump on there. That's where we go ahead and let you know when the new episode comes out. And we're going to put some short videos and clips of our various travels and just keep you informed about what all of our guests are doing. So check out the show notes for Delphine's links to her website, to her social media. Check out all of her amazing artwork and videos. She really is very talented. And guys, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on YouTube. And as I mentioned, we are all across the board, wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you for listening. As always, we will be right back here next week with another great episode and more travel inspiration. Talk to you then.